Also, there's Keira Knightley in a green dress in the adaptation, and everybody goes wild over that one scene of her in that green dress. And I need to know why. Oh my gosh. Hello everybody, it's Sara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming at you with a very exciting video because we are going to be doing a little bit of a haul. I have quite the pile over there when it's not that big. I don't think that most people on BookTube would consider that to be a big haul, but to me it's quite something. So yeah, I don't usually buy that many books at once, but it was my birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I decided to treat myself as one does. And I also pre-ordered a lot of books that are not out yet, which I'm very excited about. I can't wait for them to arrive. But without any further ado, let's begin. I think actually I'm going to start with the gifts because I also have a couple of Christmas gifts in here as well. So let's begin with that. So the first book that I want to talk about is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This was a Christmas gift from my sister. Every year my close family and we do this kind of like secret Santa thing where we get one person and then we have to get that person a gift of their choice, and my sister decided to go with this book. I'm very excited to read this one. This is a historical fiction that fictionalizes the life of Shakespeare, which I'm definitely very interested in. I have heard so many incredible things about this book. Apparently it's heartbreaking and beautifully written, and yeah, I'm very excited to read it. I don't know when I'm going to because I'm not necessarily in the mood for a sad story right now, but definitely very excited to have this one on my shelf. Then the next one is a very big one, and it's a gift from Mary from Mary Among Stories, who is one of my dearest friends here on BookTube, and she actually got me a Christmas gift as well as 2 books for my birthday. So Mary, honestly, you're like so sweet. I can't believe that you decided to send me 3 books. It's just, I love you. Anyway, and the first one that she got me is this one, which is called Downton Abbey, A Celebration, and this is basically, as the title suggests, a book about the TV show Downton Abbey. Mary and I just really bonded over our love for Downton Abbey, and ever since we just keep on screaming about it every now and then. So I was so excited that she decided to send me this beautiful book. Dust jacket just keeps on falling off, so I'm going to remove it so I can show you the inside because it's filled with, oh my gosh, it's filled with stills from the show and behind the scenes pictures, and oh my gosh, it's Tom and Sybil. I love them. Anyway, and yeah, it just looks so amazing, and I assume that the text is, you know, talking about the show and what the experience of creating it was like, and I'm just very curious about all of this. Obviously, Downton Abbey is like my favorite show of all time, and I'm always very interested in learning insights about my favorite movies or TV shows and all of the actors and what they thought about portraying all of these characters. So yeah, this is definitely absolutely amazing. Mary, thank you once again so much. I really love this book and I cannot wait to dive into it. And like I said, Mary also sent me 2 other books for my birthday. The first one of these 2 is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. This is a fantasy novel that I have heard so many incredible things about. Mainly, I've seen people on Twitter talking about the romance that's in this book, and that's definitely what sold me and made me want to read it, because apparently it's absolutely beautiful and wonderful. So definitely very excited about that part of it. I don't know too much about this besides the fact that it's inspired by Hungarian and Jewish mythology, and it's about this girl who has to form an alliance with this captain of the woodsman, I think, to try to defeat their common enemy, and that sounds great. I don't need to know more to be absolutely intrigued. It's also blurred by Samantha Shannon, who is one of my favorite authors, and she says that it is a stunning debut, so I trust her. The next book that Mary got me is also very beautiful, and it is The Reckless Kind by Carly Heat. This is a book that Cal from Retrieving Books actually told me about, and we decided to buddy read it together. The reason why we were drawn to this is because this has asexual representation as well as disabled and polyamory representation, so we were definitely very excited to read it. I have already finished it, and I have to say that I did not enjoy it as much as I was hoping to, but I'm going to to talk more about that into my February wrap-up. This is basically a story about these three teens who are trying to win the horse race that happens every year into their little village in Norway, because if they win, then they will have enough money to save the family farm of one of them. So yeah, I'm not gonna say more. I'm going to keep the rest of my thoughts for my wrap-up, but if you love stories that focus on characters, and if you also are looking for that kind of representation in the books that you read, then I would definitely recommend this one. Then the next book is kind of a funny one because I actually found it into one of those tiny libraries that there are everywhere in my neighborhood. They're basically like little wooden boxes that people can leave books into. So whenever I see one, I always open the door and try to see if there's like anything that's interesting in there. Most of the time there isn't, but this one time I found a copy of Atonement by Ian McEwan, and this is the movie tie-in, and I usually find these absolutely terrible, but I don't think that this one is too bad. And yeah, I've been meaning to read this book for a while because I really want to watch the movie with Keira Knightley and James McAvoy because I've heard so many good things about it, but I kind of want to read the book first. I think this is considered to be a classic. I really don't know anything about this book other than the fact that it talks about war and there's a love story. That's all that I know. Also, there's Keira Knightley in a green dress in the adaptation, and everybody goes wild over that one scene of her in that green dress. And I need to know why. So, you know, when I saw that copy just sitting there in that tiny library, I thought, why not? It's not the kind of edition that I usually go for, but it will do. Also, it was just a very satisfying moment to just open one of those tiny libraries and finally find something that I'm excited to read. So yeah. Speaking of love stories, the next book that I got is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I read this romance book last year and really enjoyed it, so I decided to get myself a copy because even though I didn't give it like 5 stars, and I don't think that it's the best book that was ever written, and I definitely do believe that it is slightly overhyped, I just kept on thinking about it, and I just kept on thinking about that love story and how much I had enjoyed following those characters. So I thought, you know what, I will probably want to read it in the future, so might as well just get myself a copy. I think one of the main reasons why I really enjoyed this book is because the main character is demisexual, and I was so excited to see that representation in romance, and I could also relate to a lot of the things that she was going through and all of the feelings that she had. So yeah, I think that's definitely why I just can't keep this story out of my head. So I really wanted to have a copy just in case I need like a pick-me-up one day, because I know that this book will be able to put a smile on my face and make me very happy. Even though I did find the one steamy scene in this book a little bit awkward to read, but it's fine. I can look past that. It's okay. Then the next book that I got was Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien. As many of you may know, I read The Lord of the Rings for the first time in 2020. I keep on thinking that it was last year, but it was the year before that. What the heck is time? But anyway, I read The Lord of the Rings for the first time and absolutely loved it so much. It became one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, so I definitely want to read more by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I thought that a good way to start would be to get this book because I've heard so many incredible things about it. Mary from Mary Among Stories really loved this one. She talked about it in so many videos, so she really convinced me that I needed to read it. So I was at the bookstore the other day and I just decided to get it on a whim. I don't know much about this one other than the fact that it's a love story between an elf and a human. I also think that this is mainly prose, but there's also poetry in there, and I've never read any of Tolkien's poetry except for the different songs that we have in The Lord of the Rings, so that definitely very intrigues me. Also, I just realized that she's sitting on a dog, and this entire time I thought it was a horse. So fun fact. Now we all know. Then the last 3 books that I want to talk about are all non-fiction, which I think really reflects my newly acquired obsession with non-fiction. And the first one that I want to talk about is actually not the one that started it all, but it definitely made me fall in love more with nonfiction, I would say, and that book is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I read this one last year. It made it on my top 10 books of 2021 list. It is just so good. In case you don't know, this is a memoir that talks about abusive relationships, but it actually explores that topic through the lens of different narrative tropes, and that's the main reason why I love it so much. The writing in this is absolutely stunning. If you love beautiful writing and haunting topics, then you should definitely check this out. Definitely look out for the trigger warnings, however, if you want to read this, because it will go into many details and it's sometimes very hard to read, but also just so well done. This kind of turned into a mini review, but yeah, read In the Dream House. It's so good. I'm so happy that I finally have it on my shelves. Then the next book that I have is one that I've been meaning to read for a while, and that book is All About Love by Bell Hooks. This is a collection of essays about feminism and anti-racism. Bell Hooks was definitely one of the most well-known activists and scholar in both of these subjects, and I do believe that I have read a couple of her essays in some of my classes at university, but I never actually tackled one of her works, so that's why I really wanted to get this one. And I've heard so many incredible things about it. Obviously, Bell Hooks is so well known and she was such a big figure in the social movements for feminism and anti-racism. So I think that it just makes sense for me to finally read her books, since these are topics that really fascinate me. So yeah, I'm very happy that I have this on my shelf now, and I can't wait to read it because I know that it's going to teach me a lot of things. And then finally, the last book that I got recently is The Inconvenient Indian, A Curious Account of Native People in North America by Thomas King. This is a book about indigenous people and their history in North America, and I'm very curious to read this book because I've heard so many good things about it, and I know that Thomas King is one of the most well-known Canadian authors, and I have read a couple of his essays, once again similar to Bell Hooks, but I never read one of his entire books, and I know that so many people recommend this one when it comes to Canadian history. So I'm definitely very interested to finally pick it up. I've heard also that Thomas King has a very dry sense of humor, and even though this book is non-fiction, it still has this kind of tone. So I'm very curious to see how he talks about all of these topics, which obviously are very hard to talk about, while also infusing his storytelling, I want to say, with this kind of like style that he has. So yeah, very curious about that. I can't wait to read this, and I've just heard so many great things about Thomas King in general, so I definitely want to read some of his works, and I thought that this would be a great place to start. Alright, so that is it for this video. This was my little but big for me book haul. If you've read any of these books, please let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Non-spoilery thoughts, mind you, but I would really love to know if you enjoy them or which one you think that I should start with. But as always, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!